Darkness falls across the land. Creatures crawl in search of blood.
Nobody knocks off an old man in my neighborhood.
Hello there. Welcome to my review of episode 8 of Eerie, Indiana, The Dead Letter. Marshall begins the story by explaining that the Eerie Library needed to raise some money, so has sold off some of its archive of books to the Worldo stuff. Marshall and Simon are there, and Marshall is in love again, although this passes quickly when he finds a letter in one of the old books.
Check this out. Mary B. Carter. It's got a real old stamp and everything.
There's no postmark. I guess it's never been mailed.
Which he foolishly opens. This summons a ghost, Trip McConnell, played by Tobey Maguire,
Gentlemen, thanks for the wake-up call.
who wants Marshall's help, but Marshall refuses. When Marshall gets home, Trip is already there, and has the rest of the family under some sort of spell.
And listen, if you need a place to stay...
Yeah, why don't you stay with us? I mean,
Geez, you people are so nice. I'd love to live with you.
great.
It's him.
Marshall's room.
Marshall is furious about this, and again refuses to help. It would appear he's not learned anything since the last episode. Trip is determined though, and keeps appearing to Marshall, including in his dreams, where he finally convinces Marshall to deliver his letter.
I once tried to mail that letter and I couldn't. Since you're the one who found that letter, you're the one who has to deliver it in person.
But I don't have your letter.
Sure you do. When you wake up, look at your nightstand.
The next day, Marshall and Simon deliver the letter to Mary Carter, who is now an old and bitter woman who refuses to accept the letter and rips it up, furious that these boys seem to be playing a trick on her. She was supposed to marry Trip, but he died 62 years ago. Back at Marshall's, Trip appears and is devastated Mary didn't want the letter. He explains he was on his way to deliver the letter when he was run over by a milk van from the same company that ran Devon over in the previous episode. It appears milk vans in Eerie have a thing about stopping young love. Marshall softens to Trip, and he and Simon go back to Mary's. She threatens to call the police, but Marshall reads the letter aloud, and she is touched by Trip's words.
Dearest Mary, love of my life. In this short letter, it will never be possible to say how much I love you. There isn't a single dictionary in the world that describes the love I have for you. Please let me give you a lifetime of love and happiness. Let me keep away everything that is rough or mean or ugly from you. If this poor letter means anything to you, meet me at the World of Stuff tomorrow night.
Marshall convinces her to go with him and meet Trip. They are reunited at the Worldo stuff, and the next day it's revealed that Mary died the night before, and we see Trip and Mary reunited permanently in the afterlife. Trip giving Marshall the courage to talk to the girl he likes.
Hi. I'm Marshall.
I'm Andrea.
This is a strange episode to follow the last one, as it has similar themes about unrequited love, and yet gives Marshall much less to do. It's also tonally quite awkward as a result. Marshall seems unnecessarily antagonistic towards Trip straight away, which seems unbelievable having just gone through his first experience with love. He also describes Trip as a menace, despite not being that menacing. Had an earlier episode seen Marshall be terrorized by a ghost, or had Trip been more antagonistic towards Marshall when Marshall first rejects his request for help, it might have made more sense, but it just feels a little bit off here. It's a lovely story otherwise, and bringing the milk van back as the cause of death is an interesting touch that could have been played with in later episodes, had they wanted to. But the episode still falls a little short due to Marshall's attitude to being the obstacle for what should have been an easy task. It feels like the obstacle should have been an external one, with Marshall helping to remove barriers rather than being the one that puts them up. Simon isn't given too much to do here, but there's a fun little fourth wall break in Marshall's dream.
I just hate being second banana on the show.
What show?
And him wearing a false moustache to disguise himself as an adult is very good value.
Can I help you?
My name is Matt. How are you? I am conducting a survey in your neighborhood. Would you mind answering a few questions? Thank you.
There's also a very funny line from Trip towards the end of the episode that I really liked.
Oh, Trip, you look great. How have you been?
Well, I've been kind of dead, Mary.
But overall, this is patchy at best. There's a vague theme of seizing the day, but it isn't explored too deeply either. It feels like this one might have been the victim of their budget. Still, I think the good outweighs the bad, so this is still a 4 out of 5 for me. Thank you. Goodbye.